The Canucks finally get their first win of the season thanks to a historic game-winning goal from none other than JT Miller. And we take a look at how the new lineup moves paid off in spades and how we might have found our new ideal lineup, at least for now, as Vancouver looks to continue this momentum through the rest of the road trip. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as they look to win another game on this road trip. With that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is the Canucks finally win. Can't say it enough times, but the Canucks finally got their first win of the season, and it was an overtime victory, so it was a 2-point swing for the Canucks. And if you're watching the game, you're knowing exactly where I'm going with this. The first goal being scored by Teddy Blueger, assisted by Kiefer Sherwood and Jake DeBrusk, with his third of the year coming on his birthday of all days. The second goal being scored by Quinn Hughes, assisted by Danton Heinen and Niels Ahmann. But of course, the game-winning goal was scored by none other than JT Miller. When he scored, I swear I could hear the chants coming from Vancouver in the streets and just ready to just party all night long as the Canucks finally got their first win of the season. It was awesome to see, and it was great to see that it was scored by JT Miller, getting his second goal of the season. We finally had our top guys clicking. We finally had our top guys scoring, and that was awesome to watch in this game. We took the defending Stanley Cup champions to the deep water. We took them to that 12th round, and we ended up victorious. We knocked them down, and we went toe-to-toe with them. We were even in a lot of categories as well. But before we get to that, the biggest thing for JT Miller was the historic goal. He is now second all-time for most overtime career goals for the Vancouver Canucks, only behind Daniel Sedin, as he tied Brendan Morrison. He came into this game tied with Brendan Morrison, and now he has his 10th. So I know this one isn't updated yet. I just had to grab something quickly just so that we had this graphic for you guys. You see there, he is in great company with some of the greatest Vancouver Canucks players to ever wear the blue and green. And this is awesome to see where JT Miller had just come in clutch in the biggest moment. Sorry if I'm stumbling a lot. I'm just super excited because we finally got a victory. And you look there in the game stats too. Vancouver had 33 shots on net. They were only outscored in the second period. Other than that, they were dominating this game. Yes, they lost in the faceoff circle and on the power play, but Vancouver did a good job of staying out of the box. DeBrusk did draw a penalty, and he went to the box with another roughing call, so it was offsetting penalties, but he was still in the box in overtime. That was kind of a momentum shifter where it kind of just told that the Vancouver Canucks had the momentum on their side and they were going to come away with this win. Vancouver played a lot more physical than Florida did, and that was a very big surprise as well. They had 41 hits to Florida's 34, lots more blocked shots, lots more giveaways for Vancouver, which was unfortunate, but we did have 2 takeaways, so that was able to kind of make up for a few of them. But again, looking at these game stats, there was only a few areas where Vancouver did get beat. Other than that, they were pretty great for the most part. This was a very different Vancouver Canucks game from what we've seen earlier this season. It wasn't very sloppy hockey. It was still very nice. There was a lot of things that went well for Vancouver. I can't say that I'm very upset with what I saw on the ice tonight. I thought they played a really good game. We were able to get the W. It was a 2-point swing, and guys did play well. We had guys play with great chemistry. We're going to touch on those in a second, but touching on just JT Miller alone, just him coming into this season with all the noise surrounding him missing the preseason and just having a slow start to this season along with the other members of our core 4 guys. And JT Miller just said, hey, I'm going to silence the noise right now and get us a win against the defending Stanley Cup champions to get us our first win of the season. He put the team on his back in overtime and said, hey, let's go bring this back and let's go win this game. They went out and did that. What did you guys think of the game? What did you guys think of JT Miller finally scoring the goal? Could you hear the chants coming to your living room from Vancouver? Would love to hear what you guys have to think about the game. But that's going to bring us into our second topic of the day, which is the new moves paid off. So we see here in the lineup before the game, there was a healthy scratch for Daniel Sprong. He was not in the lineup. We're going to touch on that in a second. But as far as some lineup changes, Höglander, we got our wish, or at least I got my wish of seeing Höglander not only on one of the first 2 lines, but playing with Elias Pettersson and as well as Connor Garland. That line was arguably probably the best or second best line on the ice tonight. Those guys played really well together. I would love to see those guys play together further on in the year. I think that at least in the next game or so, I think this is a combination that is going to be successful, at least until Dakota Joshua is back and it's able to be Garland, Blueger, and Joshua on that third line. But I think Höglander also made a really good case as to why he is a top 6 forward for this team as well. And then he had Jake DeBrusk on his birthday playing a solid game. Kiefer Sherwood played one of his best games as a Canuck. This third line was probably our best on the ice. I know I just said that our second line was really solid, but it's between our second and third line as to who really showed up and showed out tonight. And Teddy Blueger as well. He had that goal where initially it looked like it was saved, but then they reviewed it and it was ruled a goal. DeBrusk as well getting involved, getting a point on his birthday. Like I said, that is awesome to see. And then you had Niels Ahmann as well stepping in, where if Daniel Sprong got the healthy scratch, then Niels Ahmann was brought in there, and he did. Heinen getting another assist as well. And then you see there in the defensive pairings as well, Erik Brandstrom was put on the second defensive pairing with Tyler Myers, and then Carson Soucy with Vinny Desharnais. I thought that was a decent move for Vancouver's part. I thought Brandstrom played a decent game, and I think this is going to be something where Vancouver is going to try and roll with this. We knew that they were going to be rotating on that third defensive pairing, but now we're seeing that in the second and the third defense pairing, we could see some shakeup. We know that Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers were a good combination last season, but this season it just hasn't gotten going yet. So if there needs to be shakeup on the second and third pairing, go for it. It's early in the season, and it seemed to have worked for this game. And when we look at the forward stats as well, if you want to pause it and take a look, you can take a look at just the entire thing as well. You see Kiefer Sherwood, Teddy Blueger, Jake DeBrusk, all +1s being on the same line, of course. Brock Boeser, JT Miller as well being +1s, and Danton Heinen as well getting a point with the assist. So there was a lot of things that Vancouver did do right in this game. A lot of guys getting shots on net, a lot of guys getting hits, especially when you look at the defensive stats as well. Brandstrom racked himself up a hit. He got a shot on net as well. He averaged some pretty good ice time as well. He got 11:49 time on ice as well. Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek, they didn't have to play over 30 minutes. That was a big thing that we said going forward through this season, that you don't want to overwork Hughes and Hronek, and they seem to have done that just well. Vinny Desharnais as well, getting back into the lineup. Awesome to see. He's getting some more momentum and confidence underneath him. He was a +1, got 12 minutes, 21 seconds on the ice. Tyler Myers as well, being back out there after that scary knee injury. We thought that was going to potentially end his season, and now he's back out there for the Canucks. There was a lot of things that they did do very well for this game. And before the game as well, Dan Murphy did say that Lankinen was going to get the start. Of course, Desharnais will play. Brandstrom and Juleson both take warm-up. Ahmann in for Ratu, who was sent down to Abbotsford. And that was the only reason I put this in there, is because Daniel Sprong was not mentioned on there, and that's because he was a scratch. So there was a scratch for another game as well. So this is something where he had a great preseason. He had a solid start to the regular season, and now he's scratched for the past 2 games. I know it's probably to give these AHL guys a little bit of opportunity to see how they work, because Sprong, they're paying him a lot of money, not just to sit on the bench. So they're going to get him back in the lineup at some point, but maybe they're just trying to test out these AHL guys just to see how they do and how they perform early on in the season, so that they can rely on them potentially later on in the season if there's injuries, or if guys just can't get going and they need some competition or motivation to get going. We saw that happen maybe with Petey tonight, where he maybe played a little bit better than he has played in the past few games leading up to this point, as well as being on that line with Garland and Höglander on the other sides of him. I think that's going to be something that maybe we see a goal from that line if they are put together in the next game against Philly. That's going to be a revenge game that I'm definitely going to have my eyes on and can't wait to see. Hopefully we come away with the W again. We get our second straight win and our second win of the season, so that it carries us into our final road game of this stretch, and then we can head against Chicago, and then we can head home to Pittsburgh and just go back home with a little bit more momentum beneath us. But what do you guys think about the new combinations? Do you guys think that they paid off? Love to hear what you guys have to say. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe. We just got to 5,000 subscribers, so thank you guys very much. We couldn't do this without your guys' support and your love of the Vancouver Canucks, so we appreciate that deeply. But that's going to do it for this episode. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.